For the section on integrating growth and decay models, we're going to focus mostly on money and how it grows, or vice versa, how much what you owe, your debt, will grow if you're borrowing instead of investing. So all of these formulas can go either way. So let's say you have a particular sum of money, we're going to call that the principal, capital P, to invest for T years at a particular annual percentage rate. The rates are always annual, so T is always in years. Now, most bank accounts or credit cards will compound monthly. So the letter N represents the number of times per year that your interest is compounded. Okay, so the accumulated value that's in the account will be what you started with, your principal, times 1 plus the rate divided by the number of compounding periods every year. If it was monthly, this would be a 12. If it was semi-annually, this would be a 2. Daily, 365, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to raise that to the power the number of compounding periods per year times year. So this is the total number of compounding periods over the life of the investment or the loan. Now, in a class that's beyond the scope of this one, if you take the limit as those compounding periods go to infinity, in other words, if you're compounding the interest continuously, and you take that limit as n goes to infinity for your future value, is what we're going to call this formula, you will get this exponential equation. Once you're compounding more and more frequently, this becomes the difference between this formula and this formula is pretty negligible. So banks will use this just for convenience, of course, usually in their favor. All right, so if you want to find the accumulated value after T years with an annual percentage rate of R, principal P, compounded continuously, this is the formula that we're going to start with to find our future value. So if we're given this formula for the future value of our money, and let's say we're in a situation where we know how much we're going to need after a certain number of years, and what we're looking for is the amount that needs to be invested today at this rate for this many years to get how much we need. We need to solve for this right here. P0 meaning the initial investment or loan amount. P0 meaning the initial, and we're going to make this be what's called the present value. So if we take this equation, future value equals this, and we isolate that guy, we're going to have to multiply both sides by e to the minus rt. Multiplying this, you'd add the powers, you get e to the 0, so that's 1. So the present value of our money is what we're going to want in the future times e to the minus rt. For example, if we know we need $1 million in 30 years, and we have the opportunity to invest at 4%, and there's a whole lot of constraints on these formulas, by the way. We'll go back and talk about that. How much do you need to invest today in a lump sum to end up with $1 million after 30 years? Well, the present value is your principal times e to the minus power. Here's your rate, there's your time. And you see that I would need to invest more than $300,000 today to have $1 million in 30 years if my interest rate was only 4%. Now, pay attention, because when you invest, you're getting stuff, interest rates like 4% if you're just sticking your money somewhere, as opposed to if you borrowed. If you're borrowing, you're going to pay more than that for certain types of loans. Mortgage rates are going up right now. They'll come back down again, and they'll go up again. They'll always be changing. But your credit cards are always going to be double-digit percentages. So watch out and don't get buried in debt. Here's something cool that we can do with this. If we're given a particular percentage rate, we can figure out how long it's going to take to double our money. So let's look at the formula for future value, P e to the RT. How long will it take for me to have twice what I started with? Solve this equation for t, so we're going to divide away the p's. We end up with this. Now to get that t by itself, I've got to get it out of the exponent's place. So I'm going to take the ln of both sides of this equation. So the ln of 2 equals the ln of e to the power, which is just the power. Divide away the r, and you see that the amount of time to double your money is going to be dependent on that rate. And it's always the ln of 2 over the rate. For instance, if you have a rate of 4.9%, it'll take you 14 years to double your money. Rate of almost just under 4%, it takes 18 years. It takes 24 years to double your money at 2.9%. But watch out. If you're paying credit card type interest and you are making minimum payments, and let's say you're only spending each month, once you get up to the point where you're making minimum payments, you don't spend more than what you're paying each month. Most of us will spend more, not less. But let's say you become suddenly disciplined and you're not spending more each month than what you're paying, but you're not paying it off. It'll take less than 4 years at 18% interest for you to owe twice as much on that credit card. So watch out, guys. All right, as far as future value and even present value go, most of our investments are not made in lump sums. It's great if we come into money and we can stick a lump sum in today and just let it sit and grow. But most of us are making in our investments over time. We're putting in a certain amount each month or each year into an investment. The book that we're using, all of these equations are, or all of the examples and the homework problems are based on a constant deposit that's made each year. They are calling this principle of the function r of t. There are a few equations where the rate is changing in a linear fashion. For instance, it's going up by a particular amount each year, but they've done everything in years because the rate is an annual rate, and we always use t in years, so they've kept it a little bit simple for us. So if you are depositing a certain amount each year instead of a lump sum at the beginning of the life of the investment, then you're going to have to integrate to get this future value. Well, if it's non-constant. Now, the difference between continuous and constant, it's a continuous income stream, meaning that it's behaving the same way every year for the whole life of the investment. The difference between continuous and constant, a constant means the same amount is invested every year, and we'll see some examples of this. So, and again, the examples in the book, most of them, this is just a number, and I'll show you what happens with that in a second. But if we have a continuous income stream, we have to do this integral right here. Now, it's doing this, capital T is the total number of years, small t is the variable, it's passing through time from the beginning here at 0 to the end, capital T. Notice that I can distribute the r here, and it's going to be e to the r capital T times e to the minus r variable t. Well, e to the r capital T is just a constant. That's a multiplier that can be factored out in front of the integral, and you'll be left with your income stream or your revenue for r times e to the minus rt little t part. This is a simple integral if this is a constant. If this, and I'm never going to give you more than a linear equation here, so t will never be more than the power of 1 in this function right here. If that is the case, if there is a variable t here, you're going to have to use integration by parts to do that integral. Okay, but if this is just the same amount every year, it can be factored out of the integral. You'll be integrating e to the minus rt, which just gives you e to the minus rt over minus r, and you're evaluating it from 0 to t. If that is the case, if r of t is a constant, then you integrate and evaluate and you get this right here. So if you're just depositing, say, $10,000 a year, you're just going to plug that number in, divided by your interest rate times e to the interest rate times the number of years minus 1. And you can just plug and chug numbers into that formula all day and get your answers. For example, if you're investing $12,000 every year for 10 years at 4%, there's your principal, or your yearly investment, divided by your rate, e to the rate times 10 years minus 1. It comes out to be this. By the way, you're going to have to be really good at using your calculator, so you've got to practice. Find the e to the x key. It should be above the ln key. I'm sure you guys already know all this stuff, but you've got to practice and plug these numbers in. Make sure you get this answer back. By the way, if I'm investing $1,200 a year for 10 years, I've invested $12,000 total, and that means I have earned over almost $3,000 in 10 years. So let's look at an example of a non-constant revenue stream. So let's say you invest $12,000 the first year, but every year after that, you're going to increase your investment by $1,000. So year 1, you've invested $12,000. Year 2 will be $13,000. Year 3 will be $14,000, and on and on and on. And I see that I didn't put an E at the end of increase. There we go. So $12,000 the first year, and $1,000 more for every year after that for 10 years. We're earning 4%. So your future value, oh, by the way, your revenue function here, this is your income stream. For year 0, you invested this. So the first year it's this. And then once this X value grows to 1, you're adding. And when it grows to 2, you're adding. And this will be a continuous income stream, just not constant. So the formula for future value says e to the RT, capital T. So this is going to be e to the 0.4. Integral from the beginning to the end for 10 years of my function for my revenue times e to the minus RT. So because we have a t times an exponential, we have to use integration by parts. So I chose to set this equal to u because that's the only thing I can do. So if this is u, dv is all the rest right here. Integrate this piece to get your v. Take the derivative of the u to get du. And we end up with this e to the 0.4, which is our multiplier outside. Be very careful because this is going to multiply everything that you do after this. So we have u times v right here. We're going to evaluate that from 0 to 10, minus the integral of v. There's a negative there, which makes this a plus. V du. So I've got 1,000 multiplier from the du and a 0.04 in my denominator. And again, that minus sign made this plus. The integral from 0 to 10 of the variable portion of v, because I factored the bottom out, times the du, which gives me the 1,000 on the outside. So this is minus the integral of v du right here. Now this is a simple integral. We've already done it. We did it right here. So we're going to get e to the power divided by the derivative of the power. That minus 0.04 is going to multiply the 0.04 that was already there, making it squared, and the minus makes this guy negative. And then we're going to evaluate this piece from 0 to 10. Notice that on this line I plugged in the 10. I got 22,000 e to the minus 0.4 over minus 0.4. Then I plugged in the 0. Well, e to the 0 is just 1. And this goes to 0. I have 12,000 divided by 0.04. I'm adding, it's the top minus the bottom, but it was negative, so minus a negative gives me a plus. Now this piece right here, we integrate, we get this, we already talked about this, plug in the 10. Oh, by the way, this piece right here gives me this value. I'm going to plug in the 10, I get e to the minus 0.4. Plug in the 0, I get 1. Calculate it all out, you end up earning this much money after 10 years by investing, starting with 12,000 and increasing by 1,000 every year. You actually have invested something like $165,000, and you end up with this much. So you earned almost $40,000 in 10 years. It takes money to earn money, but you would be surprised if you put a little bit away and a little bit away and a little bit away over time, it's going to grow and grow and grow. We can do the same thing for present value if we have a continuous income stream that's being deposited. Again, the book uses annual amount. So if this is a constant, you can just factor it out, integrate e to the minus RT, and you're going to end up with this right here. If you take that minus and stick it in the parentheses, here's your present value. That's for a constant income stream, meaning the same amount each year. If you have a variable income stream, say you're increasing by a particular amount each year, then you'll have to do this integral. Now I want to point something out to you. Future value, we said, was e to the r capital T times the integral from the beginning to the end of your revenue stream times e to the minus r t dt. Do you recognize this right here? That is your present value integral. So what you're actually doing to find the future value is finding the present value integral times e to the r t. Pretty cool, huh?